Welcome to the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. Cassandra Terry, the mindset coach and founder of Manifesting Miracle Makers, rounded up her LinkedIn family once again. First, we've got Brian Smart, Mr. Content and Dadpreneur. He's striking the perfect balance between raising his youngest daughter and creating masterful content. Next, meet Denise Annalise Spiller, the gig expert and relentless traveler and writer. She turns every gig into an adventure. Then there's Jay Pasquale, the storytelling strategist, a poet and voiceover artist. He's weaving tales that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even change your perspective. Get ready for a show filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the magic of family. Let's welcome Cassandra Terry and the rest of the fam.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. It is Wake Up Wednesday, and my prayer is that you are fully awake, mind, body, and spirit, that you are intentional. That's what we mean when we talk about waking up. We talk about not just the physical process of going from our unconscious state to a conscious state physically, but we want to be conscious on all levels. And we've been going back to the basics this week. And when we talk about intentionality, we mean being intentional, being aware, being conscious of the decisions that you're making, the choices. They align with your values, they align with your goals, and that you keep those values and goals in the forefront of your mind so that your actions are also intentional. Your actions should create the life that you desire. And that leads me right to our quote for today. We're going to jump right in, and it is from George Bernard Shaw. Life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And you hear people all the time, they need a sabbatical, they need time off, they need time to back up and find themselves. Well, wherever you are, there you are. You're there. You don't have to find yourself, but what you do have to do is get really clear about the self that you want to be. Get really clear about what's important to you. Get really clear about who you are and how you intend to show up. Be really clear about the things that you want in your life, how you want your life to go, what's important to you. Prioritize those things. Faith, family, finances. I don't know. I like to use the same letters over and over again. It helps me remember things. But whatever it is for you, what's the most important thing? What are your non-negotiables? The things that you can't live without, the things that you would do even if you weren't paid for them, the things that light you up and bring you joy. We should be doing those types of evaluations, assessing ourselves so that we're really clear about who we are, whose we are, what we want, and the life we're trying to create. And then once we have that clarity, we have to put energy behind it. We have to start to implement. We need a plan, and we need a plan of action, and then actual implementation of that plan to go about creating that life. And in doing so, you create you. When I saw myself as small and unimportant, when I saw myself as less than valuable, that was the experience that I created. I created that version of me. And when I woke up and I began to see my value, when I woke up and realized that without all the trappings, just as I am, first thing in the morning, that I matter, then I began to create that existence for myself. And that's how I show up. And each one of those extremes were true to me at the time. That's why it's you that's creating your existence. You're creating your experiences because what you focus on, what you believe, how you see the world, the lenses that you're seeing the world through will create that existence for you. So what are you seeing? What are you focused on? Do you see the opportunity when things go wrong, or do you just feel the experience and the frustration? When things go wrong, there's an opportunity to learn. Why did that happen? I really thought it was going to be this way, but things went that way. What can I learn from this experience? How can I take what I learned and integrate that into my life so that things are go more the way I had intended the next go round. And when you think like that, these quote unquote failures that the world is always talking about, you see that there's opportunity in even those moments, in especially those moments. That's when you really have the opportunity to learn and to grow and to integrate new thinking, new habits, new behaviors into your life. So life is not about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. And in order to do that, you have to be really clear about what it is that you want to create, and then be intentional about aligning your thoughts, your actions, your everything to that creation, so that you go about creating. We're building, we're creating all the time. So if you don't like what's on the page, don't just turn the page. Take a look at it. What is it about it that you don't like? How is it that you created that picture? Because when you do turn the page, you want to take that information with you, so that when you begin to create this new image, that you're creating it in a way that's purposeful, that's intentional, that's aligning with what it is that you really want. You really do have that much control, because most of it is mindset. Most of what we're experiencing is a natural result of how we see the world, how we're focusing. I'm sorry, I'm getting bug eyed on you guys. I feel something. But yeah, it's all about how we choose and what we choose to focus on. It makes all the difference in the world. Our external circumstances are what they are. We may not be able to magically change those, but if we change how we're looking at them, by doing that, by changing how we focus and being intentional about how we move through them, we experience them better than what we would without that intentionality. So that's what we'll be talking about during our time together today. Denise, I'm not sure how much of that you were able to catch, but I thought I would go with you first, just in case, while we have you, just in case we lose your connection. And while you're preparing, I want to say hello to Kia. And then I see my mom is there, Aromatic Visions LLC. That's my mom and her candle company. Oh, we just lost Denise, so we are not going to be able to go to her first. Alexis, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm looking forward to our conversation next week. Alexis did the assessment and followed all the way through and scheduled her appointment. So we're going to be looking at her SOAR assessment next week, and what it really means to her life, and how she's experiencing it, and how she may do think what are the next steps that she might take to continue to grab hold of and control of that experience. So it is wonderful to see you here. It looks like Denise's connectivity is still giving her trouble. So Brian, let's go over to you. Oh, my mom said congratulations, Alexis. Brian, how's your connectivity? Are you able to share?
Oh yeah, I'm
Awesome.
hearing and watching and listening, and I'm loving what I'm hearing. But I
Yes.
always love to come into these shows in the morning, man. This is like my juice in the morning, my coffee, my get up and go. This is how I start the day.
All right.
So
You sound like you are awake. You are woke on this Wednesday. I love it.
since 3:30, grand rising, great to be here. Uh, with talking about intentionality, I made a post. I think it was yesterday about intentionality. I think it was yesterday.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
so I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and talking about intentionality and
All right.
go at it from the angle of what happens when you're not intentional, right? So we always talk about intentionality and we need to do this and we need to do that. But the reality of it is if you're not intentional, right? What happens is you start to fall into this abyss of what's the word I'm looking for here? Of drifting. Has anybody ever heard
Mm,
of drifting? Drifting is probably the absolute worst thing that can happen to you. So there are two types of people in the world: drifters and non-drifters. The
mm,
drifter always has an excuse. The drifter always has a problem. The drifter never has focus. The drifter never gets anything accomplished. The drifter is always complaining about time. Whereas the non-drifter is intentional. The non-drifter has set up a definite objective. The non-drifter has a vision and is focused on making that objective a reality in that vision. The non-drifter uses time wisely, right? And that's really what I want to talk about is time. The whole thing with being intentional for me has been to maximize my time. I remember when I was in first grade. So when I was in kindergarten, first grade, I don't think I went to kindergarten. I was in first grade and second grade. And in first grade, I got bumped to second grade, right? First 2 weeks in the school, I was in the second grade. And in second grade, first month in, I got bumped to the third grade. And I thought I thought I was the bee's knees, right? You couldn't tell me anything. I was I was top tier, right? And and my mom set me down one day. She said, I know you think you're smart and everything, but you waste so much time. You have got to start making a plan for your time. That's why I know you got bumped up in these classes, but look at this test here. She was like, why didn't you finish this today? And she really got down on me, made me feel all kind of bad. And she was right, right? Why didn't I finish that test? What had me so distracted that I couldn't finish that test? It was intentionality. I didn't have the intention of even taking a test in mind. My mind, I was the bee's knees, man. I don't care nothing about a test. I can breeze through this, right? I didn't have that intentionality in my mind of saying, hey, just because I got bumped up does not mean that I'm any more special. It doesn't mean that I still can't fail. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to have to overcome obstacles, right? I lost sight of that intentionality when that accolade was placed on me. Now, I was a kid, right? But we still do that as adults. I still do it now. I lose that intention, and then I get into this mode of drifting. And you cannot be a drifter and be successful. You cannot be a drifter and still have that intentionality, right? You can't have intentionality and drift. So the moment you find yourself drifting, you have to bring yourself back. And the only way you can do that is by having a plan, right? That's that intentionality. You got to have a plan. Otherwise, you'll be a drifter. And anybody can drift, right? You have to have intentionality to stay in that non-drifter mode. You can't let your accolades get next to you. You can't let your good times, shake you up and make you feel like, oh, it's all roses. Every single day is a battle. And you have to have that intentionality in order to not be a drifter. That's all I got.
I love it. I love it. And the whole time you were talking, I'm from the country, so I was thinking about a car. You know how you drive really fast and then you turn, and for a moment you really lost control of the car because it's drifting. The guys would go out in the fields or out on those back roads and would do that because if you lost control, you probably wouldn't hit anything because there's
I got a story. I got a story for you about that. I'm gonna let you finish. I got a story for you as soon as you finish.
That was just a vision that was popping up as you were talking. Go ahead.
So let me tell you the story. I'm from the country, and when I was younger, I used to drag race cars, and that went to my head, and we started racing on back roads. Well, anyway, I was going to check on one of my cars one day, and me and a buddy of mine were racing. I just bought a 300Z, and it was so fast. When you're a kid, like everything is fast, and that car was like super fast. So we riding and I'm drifting, and guess what happened? On this back road, the front right tire caught a little piece of gravel, and I couldn't control it anymore. The car started drifting, and guess what happened? It went over into a ravine. Your guy here went through the windshield.
Oh, wow.
I went through the windshield. The ravine was so deep on both sides. One side, it was probably about a 30-foot drop. The other side was more like a 10-foot drop. But the problem with the 10-foot drop was that the side was littered with trees. So the moment you went in, yeah, you might have made it, but you're gonna hit a tree. And you know what happened? I hit a tree, right? Because I'm my slow self out there drifting, right? Never ever drift. You have to be a non-drifter to win.
Yeah. When you are drifting, using either of your analogies, what you've given up is all of your control. right? You are no longer in a state of being able to respond. You have no choice but to react. Whatever is being given to you, you've got to move as quickly as you can. You have to react as quickly as you can to try and regain, right? That control so that you don't hit the tree, so that you don't land up in the ravine. And if you do those things, again, you're continuing to react to what's going on around you because you're no longer in control of the wheel. And our lives can be that wheel. And so by not drifting, right? Brian is saying, do not give up control. Well, I don't feel like I have that much control. You are making choices all day, every single day. By the mere fact that you can make choices, you have control. If we were really living in a world where the choices were made for us and we just had to follow what was prescribed for us, then yes, we would not have any control. But we make choices all day long. You decide what time you're going to get up in the morning. You decide whether or not you're going to get someplace on time or whether or not you're going to go at all. You're going to decide whether or not you're dressed for the occasion or if you just kind of throw yourself together. All of those are choices, and they in and of themselves don't seem like a big deal. One choice doesn't seem like a big deal, but they compound throughout the day. And if you've made all of these little choices, these micro decisions throughout the day without any intentionality, you by definition are drifting through your life. And by definition, you're going to end up where you end up. Maybe it's a ravine, maybe it's a tree, maybe it's someplace really cool that you like, but you have not given yourself the opportunity to control that outcome at all. Is life going to life? All the time. Life's going to life. Stuff's going to happen where we do have our control shaken. Our mere existence can be shaken by what's going on within our lives, but we still have control of how we respond to those things, how we allow those things to affect us. Am I completely overwhelmed, or am I keeping myself in a place of gratitude and staying intentional so that I can make the right decisions to get through this situation? Don't drift. When you drift, you just have your hands up, right? You're just going through the motions. You're not even aware of the fact that you're making decisions all day long. I decided to hit the snooze button and grab another 5 minutes of sleep this morning. For me, that was a good decision because I was so tired last night. I went to bed early and I slept a little bit later. One of the first things that they said when I came on, oh, you're glowing this morning. Well, thank God I got a little bit of extra sleep because I felt the headache coming. I felt really tired, so I did what my body needed me to do. I gave it the rest that it needed. It was a decision. I could have made another decision and I could have stayed up all night vegging on something on TV. I could have worked on some of my projects. And some of those things in and of themselves wouldn't be bad decisions, but they were bad decisions for me in that moment with where my body was going and what was happening. I knew what I needed. I don't always get it right. Sometimes I get so hunkered down in what I'm doing that I don't even feel my body. It's like, oh, when was the last time I ate? I need to get up and take care of myself because time will go by so quickly when we get really dug in. But when you're intentional and when you allow yourself to feel and experience what's happening with you and you make decisions accordingly, you're not drifting. You've got your hands on the wheel. You have your eye on the road. You're watching for the obstacles so you can maneuver around them. You're taking the best route for you. You're in the driver's seat. And that's what being intentional is all about. You can't be a backseat driver in somebody else's life. You have absolutely no control. We all try it. Hey, when I go, I always take this route. Watch out for this. Watch out for that. Nobody likes the backseat driver. It's because you are now trying to control something that is out of your control, someone else's actions. Be in the driver's seat of your life. If you're there, you will end up creating the best path to hit the destination that you're dreaming of. Instead of finding yourself, you will by default be creating yourself. We are creating by every decision that we make. They compound and they lead us somewhere, right? If I go on the shopping spree, even though I've got a couple of extra bucks in my pocket right now, if I choose to go on the shopping spree, knowing that there's a couple of things that are going to come up that I need to take care of before the next paycheck, I've made a bad decision. In that moment, it may not feel like a bad decision. It feels like it's okay. I've got a couple extra dollars, but you're only thinking about that moment. You're not thinking about your experience, and you are making a decision. You are making a decision that's going to make your month go longer than your money. And at some point in time, you're going to need a bailout plan, right? And if you're consistently doing that, then you're just reacting and you're not responding and you're not making intentional decisions for your life, right? Every single choice matters. They compound. And you want to make sure that you're making more decisions that are going to lead you where it is that you're trying to get than not. If you do that, because no one's 100%, man, do I wish I could be. Perfectionism sounds so nice, but it'll never happen. We're not going to be perfect. So when we slip up, figure it out as quickly as possible. In the corporate America, they say fail fast. Figure it out quickly. Make the necessary adjustments and get right back in the game. Get right back on the route that's leading you towards your goals. Don't allow a mistake to become a stop sign when it should just be a yield. Ooh, that didn't go well. I probably should not have done that. After that, what should I have done? How should I handle this situation in the future? So that you get the lesson quickly and you get right back on your path. So life is not about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. We have quite a few comments that have come in, and then we're going to try you again, Denise, and hopefully we can hear from you, because your rotation story of your ankle, I was still hearing about that right before I went to bed last night. It was powerful and it was impactful. Let's see. Alexis says, I'm looking forward to our conversation. Conchita, wonderful Wednesday. It's going to be an amazing day. Absolutely. Welcome back. Sonia says, good morning to the fam. Michael is also here saying good morning, fam. My mom said, that's good, Brian. That's a sermon. And she said, Jay, you're looking deep in thought. Let's see. Brian, that car story really brings back memories. Kim says, amazing. I catch myself drifting and not feeling accomplished more than I'd like to. I agree. As long as you catch yourself, that's the key, Kim. Once you catch yourself, you are now in a position to get back in the driver's seat. Go, oh, took a wrong turn there. Let me think this thing through. How do I get back on course? And as long as you're doing that, you are still winning. Alexis says, you are welcome. And she says, drifting, i.e. no control. Exactly. Conchita says, love the analogy of drifting, Brian. Reminds me of an experience of transformation from just surviving to thriving. 100%. Love it. Kim says, I swear so much you guys discuss. I feel like there's a connection and that's what brought me here. And I've been torturing you since. You guys are the best. Well, honey, if that's torturing, torture me every day. Keep bringing it on, Kim. It's always a blessing to have you with us. And Alexa says, letting life happen. David Jones. Hey, he said, facts. Please enjoy the ride and be quiet. So that's that backseat driver. Shh, you're not in control. And then my mom says, all right, Cassandra K. Terry, that's good now. And she said, LOL, Jay is wiggling. You better let him go. LOL. She's just hyper focused on you, Jay. I don't know what it is, but she is hyper focused. Denise, how is your audio now? Are you able to share?
I think I'm in a good spot. You know, I feel like I'm standing on one foot with an antenna from back in the day, you know, when they'd stand with an antenna up on one foot.
Yeah,
So
you
I
hit
think
that
I'm in a
position
good
and you
spot.
can't move.
Good morning. Right. I'm really blessed though to go after Brian this morning. It looks like he popped out. I know he and I are both popping in and out. I just wrote out a card and it says, "Don't drift." Anybody can be a drifter. He's right. That drifting thing is real. That's solid. And it could be a daily thing, you know. Yesterday, I'm at a family member's house this week until tomorrow. And it's a place where I kind of grew up, and they've been here for like 22 years. And there are a lot of things around me that take me back to, y'all know I've been gone for 4 months. I haven't been eating candy, and that used to be one of my like my Achilles, eating candy. And when I was married, I remember my husband saying, "You eat candy like a kid, and no wonder your family is like full of diabetics." And it was such an insensitive thing back then for him to say, but it hit me, and it was kind of a true statement that we have a habit in my family of eating too many sweets, something I had to break a long time ago. Like I had to break my addiction to sodas, and I started taking my health so seriously. And the blessing is that I'm still not diabetic, right? But if
Right.
I were doing that drifting thing, not focused, not paying attention, just drifting through my health because of the dynamics of how we grew up. We always had sweets in the house. You know, I grew up in a house where we could go in my mom's purse and sneak a piece of candy. My mom always had candy in her purse, you know? So I just look at that, and there's candy and like those almond rokas and mints, Tootsie Rolls. There are little bowls around this house. It's been like that my entire life. And so yesterday morning when I woke up here, I went to the bowl. I'm telling you guys, a habitual behavior back from like 30 years ago. I went to this bowl, I grabbed a Tootsie Roll and popped it in my mouth. It was the first thing I did when I woke up. And so I went, "What are you doing?" And I went to the garbage and I spit it into the garbage.
Oh,
So I say all that to say, you have to be intentional with every aspect of your life, right? Your health, your finances, your whether it's your weight or your physical activity. What you can't drift through those areas. You'll drift your finances right into bankruptcy. You could drift you
mhm,
could even be an habitual Christian, just showing up at church and
mhm.
doing and not even taking in what you're getting. You could go to church like out of habit. You could be showing up at 10 a.m. every Sunday. You could be showing up on Wednesday nights, the traditional Bible study, and maybe you work the daycare. I used to work the daycare at church. And sometimes the speakers wouldn't work to come into the daycare. So I wouldn't even get the sermon because I was showing up and I was working the daycare. I was volunteering my time, 2 Sundays out of the month. That could become a habit. You still got to get your word. You still got to get your lesson. You still got to get prayer time in. You didn't show up just to work the daycare. That's your service. But you got to give God
Right.
his time. So you can't drift through your spirit life either. You have to be very intentional. I love that share. I'm so glad I went after Brian. I don't want to be a drifter. And I think you're right. Cassandra, thanks for reminding us that in any moment you could start kind of drifting, right? And
Mhm,
as long as you catch yourself, don't be so hard on yourself. I'm so hard on myself to remind myself, don't
mhm.
habitually pick up a piece of candy and pop it in my mouth for breakfast just because I'm in an environment where there might be candy. Be very intentional about my health. There's 3 areas I'm really, really working on to take it to the next level. And it's always been my health, my finances, so that I don't ever become that paycheck to paycheck person again. I've been there. I know what that looks like. And it takes really good habits to get your finances on the next page. You have to practice really good habits. And nowadays, you might have automatic things coming out of your account. You forgot that you didn't cancel that Netflix or that whatever. You have to be so intentional about your finances. You could habitually spend, and like you said, I don't know how you said it, Cassandra, it was such a wise thing that you said about your month could go longer than your finances, and then you find yourself in trouble. That used to be me. I just never heard anybody say it that way. So it's just an encouragement to not be a habitual creature. We don't have to be habitual creatures. We can stop a habit at any time and say, I don't want to do that every day anymore. I don't want to do that every morning anymore. It's not
Exactly.
good for me. I want to change it. It doesn't matter that that's how I grew up. And then you won't be that drifter. So I love it. I wrote out, "Don't drift" on my card. Thank you for that, B. Y'all have a great Wednesday.
So, so glad your audio stayed, Denise, because just like yesterday, the share is so on point and it's impactful. You made me think of a couple of things when you talked about grabbing the Tootsie Roll first thing in the morning and popping that in your mouth. You're talking about, yeah, habitual. It's a habit, and going through the motions without really thinking too much about it. But in that moment when you clicked in and you realized that what you were doing was just habitual behavior, just repeating a pattern, when you got up and you went to the trash can and you threw it away, that's called a disruptor. That's a pattern disruptor. You made an intentional decision in that moment to break that pattern. And it's going to get easier and easier and easier. And you know better than most because of how you've managed your health and the decisions that you've made, they compound as well. And your choices have compounded to equal no diabetes in a family where diabetes is prevalent. So you know exactly what you're doing, and being intentional in that moment and disrupting that pattern is an example that we all have to take in different parts of our lives, different times. Sometimes it's daily, but there are certain things, like right now I have a bottle of water sitting right here. What I want is a Dr. Pepper. That's what I want all day, every day. The caffeine, I don't drink coffee, so the caffeine helps. For in my mind, at least, it helps me digest my food a little bit better. My stomach feels better. So although I know that it's bad for me, I have built up a use case in my head of the benefits of something that will burn corrosion off my engine. So you know it's not doing good things for you on the inside. But if I just go by my patterns, if I just go by my habits, that is what I'm going to reach for. If there's a Dr. Pepper here and a water here, the water will still be here tomorrow. I am going to reach for the Dr. Pepper. The pattern itself is still there. The only way I can get control of it is to disrupt the pattern. So at night before I go to bed, when I'm setting my laptop and stuff up, I set a bottle of water next to it to try and get that going. Because typically, if I have the water first, I'll do better throughout the day. If I have the Dr. Pepper first, I'm going to have Dr. Pepper all day long. I'm going to nurse that bottle like it's the best thing that you've ever had. And then when that one's gone, I'll find another one. And water helps to disrupt the pattern, but I have to be intentional. When I'm on autopilot and I'm not thinking about it, I'm going to reach for the Dr. Pepper. So it's in my best interest to make some adjustments so that the patterns can be broken. Otherwise, I'm going to continue the bad behavior and not get the better behavior integrated. So that was one thing that throwing away of the candy made me think about how important it is for us to disrupt our patterns when we want to create new behaviors. And then as I was looking up, I was reminded of the title that I gave today's session: Set Intentions, Not Just Goals. Well, what's the difference? Aren't my intentions my goals? Not exactly. Your goals are the things that you are trying to accomplish, are the tasks that you're going to be doing to get to this thing. The intentions are the results. What is it that I'm trying to create? Maybe I'm trying to create a life where I have stronger relationships. That's the intention, is to be strong and present in my relationships. I can set some goals in order to make that intention become my reality. So I can have a goal of a date night. I can have a goal of mommy and me time with my kiddos. I can have goals of girls' night out with the girlfriends and doing that on a regular basis. Those are goals that are going to get me to the result that I want. And so there's a little bit of a nuanced difference between the two. The goals will get you there, but you have to set the intention. What is it in the grand scheme of things that you really want? It's bigger than the goals itself. It's the outcome of achieving those goals. When I achieve those goals, how's my life going to be different? What's going to be here now that's not there, or what will no longer be here? That's the intention that you're setting. And then you're going to go about creating tasks that meet the goals that will ultimately get you to the intention that you have set for your life. So I wanted to share that as well. Let's see. Conchita says, Denise, you just dropped a gem with the habitual Christian statement. That is truly drifting behavior. Yeah, I mean, if we grow up in a thing, in any type of pattern, going to church every Sunday, going to Bible study, going to choir rehearsal, whatever the case may be. I go on Tuesday nights to my dance ministry rehearsal, but I have to be intentional about how I show up. I have to be intentional about what I bring into that space. I have to be intentional about how focused I am so that I'm learning what it is that I need to learn so that we can minister well. So you can absolutely go into any spaces that you repeat on autopilot, without the brain on, without the heart open, without being connected, and be there for the sake of being there. And we definitely don't want that. That's drifting and autopilot on, at its best. So we want just the opposite of that. Any space that we go into, we want to positively impact, and we want to receive what that space was designed for us to have. Sean Michael says, "Good morning, lovely people." And my mom says, "Yes, Denise, it's so good to hear your voice." All right. So, Jay, I think we have come to you, my brother. So, life is not about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself. George Bernard Shaw. What would you like to share with us this morning?
So as soon as I heard um, Brian's story, I remember my story.
Mm,
Yeah, that's why we're brothers, B. Um, yeah, so I took the family car to a an event. An event that included alcohol being served to minors in adolescence, where I should not have been,
mm-hmm.
and then proceeded to race one of my friends home. And he had a manual stick vehicle, and I had an automatic. And in order to stay ahead, I kept my foot to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, I lost control of the vehicle. I'll just get to the part of the story that matters. I did three 360s in the oncoming lane.
Oof.
Thank God nobody was in those lanes. Then I became airborne for about a second, hit a bunch of palm trees, and came to rest. Now I didn't go through the windshield, but I had to Dukes of Hazard my way out of the car. And if you know Dukes of Hazard, you
Oh,
had to,
yeah.
I had to, I had to climb out the vehicle.
And you ain't
Anyway,
driving the General Lee, huh?
yeah, and I felt like I was, um, but yeah. Anyway, the when the policeman came, he said, "Let me come and show you something." So he brought me over to the guardrail, and he said, "Do you see your skid marks?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "An inch this way, and you and I wouldn't be talking. You and I wouldn't even be having a conversation."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Okay." So that was the first thing that came to mind. The second thing that came to mind is Jesus take the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not in control, who do I want to be in control?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'm leaning on God because there are many, many things that I do not have control over.
Mm-hmm.
So automatically, He already has the wheel. I can't control the weather as much as I'd like to during spring season. And when my PTSD kicks in with, tornadoes and stuff like that, I got to just hand the wheel over to God because I don't have control. So these are the things that I've been thinking about. And then the third thing I thought about, hearing just the word drifter, was when I used to watch Nick at Night. And Nick at Night, he had those black and white shows that used to come on. And I'm thinking Perry Mason, tonight on Perry Mason, the drifter, right? And so that's what came to mind. And when you use the word drifter, there's all kinds of negative connotations that come along with that. This guy that's coming through town, he doesn't belong here. He's going to stir up some trouble. He's probably on his way to doing some trouble somewhere else, right? We got to get this guy out of town, the drifter. And you definitely don't want to be a drifter, especially in those Perry Mason shows. But those are the things that came to mind following what Brian was talking about. But let me go to um, the Bible verse that I was thinking about today.
Okay.
The Bible verse I'm thinking about, is about intentionality. Um, Obviously, determination, right? What does that all mean? Um, if if we're thinking about it, I'm thinking about the second book of Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I've kept the faith. And that's intentionality. That really is, it encapsulates the essence of determination and intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
It's Paul being resolute, determined, and intentional in living out his faith and fulfilling his divine purpose. We all have a divine purpose, I believe. And the verse serves as a reminder of the importance of perseverance,
Mm-hmm.
faithfulness, and that unwavering commitment in our journey as Christians, as believers. And so that's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about a Bible verse, on intentionality. Yeah, and lastly, I'll end with this. Renee works from home, my wife,
Mm-hmm.
and I've said it before. You know, I've had a mentor who says, if you need to do something, you need to live in your calendar, because when you live in your calendar, you're not only setting goals, you're taking action, because you're actually just putting these things into the right time slots. So it's really taking intentionality down to its basic level. And
Mm-hmm.
Renee does this perfectly. And so, because she works from home, if family members come in and ask questions or interrupt, she is livid because you're interrupting that intentionality. And for her, it means really having that focus. And she's hyper focused sometimes, especially when she has a group of employees that rely on her, and goals that are set by her boss. So, all of that is important to understand, that when it comes to intentionality, once you set the action in motion, there are other people that are going to rely on you to see that intentionality through. So definitely drifting is not going to be what's going to carry you through. You
Mhm.
actually have to live in your calendar. And I thought I'd share that with you.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I was like, I was waiting for the Bible verse. I was like, I know he's not coming today with no verse. So glad to hear it. We have a few more comments that have come in. I also wanted to recognize, I see Felicia Lee joined us. If you're still there, welcome. Glad to have you with us, Felicia. On Instagram, we've got a few folks as well. Shake Man One. I see my mom is there as well, and she said, "Good morning, fam." SD Williams joined us. The Camp Round Rock. Hey, y'all. Somebody from the camp has joined us. All those workout videos that you guys used to see me do, that's where I was doing those from. And then Palmer.bu joined us as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone. Thank you. From, let's see, LinkedIn, Lisa, there goes Jay dropping those gems again. Letting go and letting God was a hard lesson that I had to learn. Giving up that control and need for perfection and just allowing yourself to be intentional in the moment is so important. My mom said, "Come on, Jay. God is in control of everything." And lots of hearts. Alexis says, perseverance. Did I miss someone? Lisa said, "Good morning to my favorite, #fam." My mom said, God created man/woman in his image. If we're intentional about allowing him to control our lives, we will always win. Amen to that. And she also said, preach, Jay. Yes, we all have a divine purpose. Seek God to know what your purpose is. The answer to any problem, circumstance, etc., can be found in God's word. All right. Amen. All right. I think we have covered our topic for today on this wonderful Wake Up Wednesday. You know, Wednesday is the point in the week where you're kind of tired. You're over the first couple of days are gone, but you still have a couple of days in the work week ahead of you before you get to the weekend. And so I just want to encourage you to check in with yourself, be intentional about giving yourself what you need, and check that mindset. You know, I love when I walk into people who at the office are, oh, it's Monday again. And I'm like, yeah, new week, new day, new possibilities. And they're like, there she goes, dripping in honey again. Always have to be so positive. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for noticing. And come on over here and join me. The weather's good over here. Come and join me, because we can look at Monday and go, the weekend's over, I've got to start another work week. Or we can look at Monday and realize that just like today and any day, it's a new beginning, new opportunities. What was yesterday does not have to be today. Make the choices to have the life that you desire. That's what it's all about. Life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Alexis says, it's been great being here. However, I do have another commitment. Thank you for all the wisdom and gems. Thank you for your time with us, Alexis, and I will speak to you soon. So we're getting close to the end. I want to remind you guys, you see scrolling at the bottom, iwanttosoar.com. That is our SOAR assessment that I'm encouraging each and every one of you, like Alexis, to take. When you go into the assessment, you'll see a handful of questions. It doesn't take long. There are multiple choice. You just choose how true the statement is for you. And based on how you answer those questions, you will be able to tally your score. And within the range, it'll give you an assessment results. Where are you on your personal development, your growth journey? SOAR stands for strengths, identifying and playing to your strengths. That's setting yourself up to win, right? Overcoming limitations, be it mindset, self-limiting beliefs, whatever the obstacles are that are in front of you, there is a way to overcome them. If you have yourself focused on the right thing and you keep your mind open and creative, you can get through anything. A is about achieving our goals, and R is around resilience, building that resilient mindset. And when you take the assessment, you'll get results that'll show you kind of where you are on that SOAR journey. And then we'll meet for about 15 minutes, talk about the results. I'll give you some ideas on, based on where you are, a personalized assessment of where you should, the things that you can do to keep your development going, or to get you on track if you feel like that's what's needed. So it's a very personal conversation that we have after your assessment, so we can apply those results specifically to your situation and help you unjam if you're stuck, find your path if you can't see it. What you bring in, what it is that you're wanting to accomplish, will be what we'll focus on, and how we'll apply your assessment results to how you can get going on that path. So go to iwanttosoar.com, take the assessment, the results come to me and they go to you, and then we'll have the opportunity to meet on them and help you get a plan of attack in place for 2024, because that's the theme for this year. Soaring beyond limits, unleashing the power within. We want to soar in 2024. So I look forward to seeing your results and having the opportunity to speak with you guys as you take the assessment. And with that, we will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thankful Thursday, my favorite day, where we focus on gratitude. But today we have done what it is that we came to do. I am grateful for each and every one of you. Join us back here tomorrow at 7:15 a.m. Central for Thankful Thursday, and get your SOAR challenge, your SOAR assessment completed. iwanttosoar.com. Thank you, fam, for being with me again, and for all the great shares. See you all back here tomorrow for Thankful Thursday.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. We hope that you join us tomorrow for another episode. For advertising or sponsorship questions, reach out to Cassandra or any one of the Fam 5 on their LinkedIn profiles. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day, everyone.